All right, good afternoon, guys. We're going to wait just one more minute and see who else jumps on.
Good afternoon.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. How's it going with you?
It's good. It's good, but I'm sure I'm like you guys. I am dragging.
Yep.
Dragging.
Yes, the end of the semester is near, so this is when everything
Yeah.
normally picks up, and then of course online is making it even harder. So yeah, definitely getting difficult.
Yep, it is. And uh we're in the middle of like fall cow work right now too. So I spent all day Saturday and all day Sunday working cows, and I can barely move today because I haven't had to ride a horse that hard in a long, long time. So, ugh, but we'll make it. It's gonna be fine, or at least I keep telling myself that. So.
Hey, Professor, did you tell us last week that the spring semester will be online as well?
Uh, I don't know if I told you, but that is true. So there's only a handful of classes and those are mostly like internship experiences, directed work experience, that type of thing, that are going to be in person. But everything else is again going to be online as well. All right, got a couple more trickling in, and then we'll get rolling. Okay, guys. Well, we will go ahead and get started. How is everyone doing? I think we've established where I'm at mentally and physically, but how are you guys doing? Is it just kind of like dragging to break next week or what? Okay. I got a couple nods. So, all right. Well, let me, yeah, Vanessa, I am excited for break as well. So, all right. Let me launch this poll really quickly about chapter 10 material. Just want to kind of get a feel for where you guys are at with the material. And so this has to do with last week's material, which was chapter 10, spermatogenesis and male endocrinology. All right, we'll take 20 more seconds to answer the quiz or the poll, not a quiz. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And we are solidly kind of in the center there. So you guys think you have got it and could probably pull a C on a pop quiz. Awesome. Okay, cool. I like that there's nobody in I know nothing. So that makes me feel good because we have low expectations right now. So all right, cool. Well, polling app of Zoom and I are fighting. It won't let me add any more polls right now. So I don't have specific questions for you about chapter 10 material. But what I would like to do is answer any questions that you guys may have about that material, whether it was on the quiz or just having a hard time comprehending something or not. And then we'll go into what I've got planned for the rest of today. So what questions do you guys have about chapter 10 material? And if there isn't any, just give me a thumbs up or something.
I have a question from the quiz.
Okay.
Number 5.
All right. Number 5. Okay,
So-
the jumbled sentence.
Yeah, so specifically the concentration, the testosterone concentration in the seminiferous tubule and the blood.
Yep.
So is it low concentration in the blood? Because I thought it was high concentration in the blood.
So, okay. So here is the answer. So successful testes function requires 1, pulsatile GnRH secretion, which we know. Okay, 2, high testosterone concentration in the seminiferous tubule, but low testosterone concentration in the systemic blood. And so the reason that it has to be high in the seminiferous tubules is because that is actually triggering the progression and the development of those germplasma cells to develop from like the mitosis and meiosis stage, or the primary spermatocyte, into a mature spermatocyte. Okay, but it has to be low concentration of testosterone in the blood, because that if it's high in the blood, it feeds back to the hypothalamus and it shuts down production of GnRH. So high testosterone in the blood is a negative feedback in the male. Okay, and so we can't have it very high, or it's gonna just shut the whole system down. Does that help?
Yeah, I thought it was high concentration in the blood because on the graph, like with the spikes in
Yep.
all the hormones, it says like blood concentration. That's like on the, I think it's the y-axis is blood concentration, and then it's like spikes of testosterone. So I was like, oh, that must mean it's high in the blood, but I think I just misunderstood it. So
well, I understand why you could totally be confused from that too, because it's that pulsatile fashion, right? So when GnRH fires in the male, and it is going to trigger high testosterone production in the seminiferous tubules, and some of that testosterone is then going to leak into systemic blood and feed back to GnRH, and GnRH is going to drop production. And so that's where we get that valley. And so that's why we have peaks and we have valleys there. And so that pulsatile fashion of peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys is really, really critical in the male, so that we're always getting a sperm production and then a rest to reset the system. Sperm production, a rest to reset the system. And so it's a little bit more finite than just what those graphs show, which is kind of overall what that pulsatile activity looks like.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Good question. Excellent. Anything else, guys? All righty. Well, so because Zoom and I are fighting, can't really get a good handle on, I was going to check something. Hold on where we're at as far as comprehension, but I trust you guys. So I'm taking the silence as like, oh, I've got this. And if not, or if you don't want to ask a question, you can private message me on Zoom, or we can talk during office hours and stuff. And so this week I do have office hours. Let me pull up my email for you guys for this class. Let's see here. Thursday from 8 to 10, and then Friday from 8 to 9, basically. And so if you guys have questions, please drop in. It's on my personal Zoom account. So, because I'm holding office hours for multiple classes at the same time. And so please don't hesitate to jump in there as well. Let's see here. As far as, let me share my screen and we'll just look at Blackboard, make sure everybody is kind of on the same page. Okay. So if we go back to our main menu, we are clear down here in week 13. And instead of throwing a ton of new material at you in a traditional lecture fashion, I just threw in 2 self-studies. So the estrus synchronization study you guys have had access to for 2 weeks, or will have access to it for 2 weeks. And so this was open last week as well. And then the other self-study that is kind of the focus of this week is reproductive behavior. And so the reproductive behavior is really, really vast and is going to be very dependent on species. So there's not a whole lot of generalization that can take place with reproductive behavior. So if we look in this folder here, and hopefully you guys are seeing this, if not, just speak out. You've got a couple of lecture interviews, and then you've got a couple of YouTube videos of reproductive behavior and what it actually looks like in the farm species. And then and goats are my absolute favorite to watch with reproductive behavior because they're crazy. And then you've got just a self-study down here that is due. And both of these self-studies are pretty straightforward. I don't think they'll take you days to get through, but please just make sure that you know that there's 2 self-studies due this week, one for estrus synchronization, and then one for reproductive behavior. And so both of those are due on Friday by 5 p.m. And then we're taking a break. No new material next week. Enjoy yourselves, catch up on stuff. And stuff can absolutely be sleep insanity at this point. And then the following week, the first week of December, we're going to do just brief looks at the last couple of chapters. And so we'll look at sperm in the female tract, the fertilization process, and then parturition and pregnancy during dead week as well. And then, so just keep in mind that we really only have, as far as graded stuff, we've got the 2 self-studies this week. We'll have a quiz the first week back from break. The group project, which is due December 4th, that Friday after we get back from break. So just to panic you guys more, that's about 2.5 weeks away that group project is due. And then we may have one quiz during dead week. It won't be super long or anything, just more gauging you where you're at on comprehension. And then the final exam. And you guys are going to have a week to work on the final exam. So I'm not going to have you take it in like a concentrated 2-hour block or something like that. I'll open it for about 7 days. So it'll be open during probably the midpoint of dead week, and we'll close like Wednesday of dead week or something like that when our normal final period would be. So there are still quite a few points available in the class. There's, if I let me go back and pull up the syllabus to make sure I'm telling you everything correctly. So let's see here. Yep. So we'll have probably 2 more lecture quizzes, 2 case studies, and those will be kind of the lower end of the points. And then the individual or group project, the semester project is what I'm calling it. It's going to be worth 100 points, and then the final exam will be worth 150. So there's 250. There's probably 300 points, 350 points still out there. So just be aware of that. And then, and that's in addition to what I haven't got graded yet. And so I'm working on grading this week, and honestly, I'll be working on it next week as well, because everything is taking me twice as long right now. And so my apologies for not having upgraded dates or updated grades to you guys. So it's just, I am just behind. I'm sorry, all the way behind. So, all right. So that's kind of what the end of the semester looks like. What questions do you guys have? And I am also up for answering questions about the semester project too. So if you need clarification on any of the scenarios, if you want to run some scenarios by me, if you're going to do your own operation or need to know something about the farm, we can absolutely do that right now too. But that is, I just kind of wanted to touch base with you. I didn't want to keep you on Zoom if you had other things to do, because I know it's crunch time for a lot of stuff right now. So, so what questions do you have? And silence. It's okay.
For the project, we can choose any of the scenarios, but it's not like only one person per scenario, right?
Right. Nope.
Okay.
I am more than happy if we have 55 people that do scenario number 1. That's totally
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
And is like the structure of the project, is it just kind of like a paragraph format or?
Paragraph or outline? So let me, I know I promised you guys some examples. Did I actually put them up? I did. Oh my gosh, I remembered. Okay. So let me just show you here. Sorry, my memory is gone. So I'm excited when I actually do something right now. So in the semester project folder, there is, or the semester project module, there is a folder that says example business plans. And so these are not specifically from this class, but these are from my beef class that I do a similar project with. And so these are a good idea for just format and organization. And so you guys can, put together a document that is paragraph based, where each like part of the rubric has a heading. That's totally fine. You can include tables if you want to do a calendar. You could include graphics if you wanted to get fancy and do a calendar. Or there, some of the other examples are, this is paragraph based as well. But I am good with, I guess these are all paragraph based, which means that there wasn't a really good one that was outline based. But so I am totally fine if you want to do kind of paragraphs stuff, or if you want to do kind of like an outline. So outlines tend to be a little easier for me to look at. Rather than reading through a lot of like heavy, dense material. And outlines also give you the opportunity to kind of break material up if you need to like insert a figure or something like that. And so I am totally fine with whatever. So, but you got, if you just do the basics on the rubric that's at the bottom of that assignment, you'll get like 75%. If you want to move from a C to an A, make sure that you have lots of detail associated with each one of those. And so the whole idea with this is to give you guys something that you could apply all of this information that you've been learning throughout the semester. So I'm assuming, I'm not expecting, I'm just assuming that the estrus synchronization self-study is really going to help you write part of your project, if that makes sense. Okay, so I would, if you guys haven't started on that self-study yet, I would maybe look through the scenarios for the group project, get an idea of something that you might be interested in. That way you can be a little bit more efficient with your time as you're completing the self-study and make some notes and stuff on how you could use estrus synchronization in your management plan. All right, so those are just some ideas, but does that answer your question about like format and stuff? Okay, awesome. Cool. Any other questions I can help you guys with?
Information that we're like applying it to, is it from information we learned in the class, or are we going to have to bring in outside resources?
Probably both is my gut feeling. So a lot of the material was really, really heavy on like beef and sheep production. We did, and that's just because that's my training, right? So we did a little bit with swine, but if you wanted to do like goat stuff, we haven't spent a ton of time in lecture on goats. So that could be where you need to go find some additional information.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you bet. All right. So kind of just show if in your participants column over here, I'm just curious, how many of you guys just check yes if you've selected something or no if not? How many of you guys have selected the scenario that you're going to do for the group project? Okay. Would it be helpful for those of you guys, because there's actually quite a few on here that haven't done that yet, and I totally understand like just day-to-day life right now is hard. Would it be helpful if I brought that up and we went through them individually right now so that you at least are exposed to them, or is that kind of a waste of time?
That would help so much.
Okay. Let me pull it up. Okay, so just as a reminder, what you guys are looking at now is the actual assignment or no, you're not looking at it because I haven't clicked that button. There we go. Now you're hopefully looking at the actual assignment for the semester project. And so it just steps you through the procedures, and then the components of the report is really going to be where we see the rubric come out of. So these are the things that I'm expecting to see in a report. And so as far as the scenarios, scenario number 1. So first of all, let me just draw your attention to the first piece of information before you get to the scenarios that's highlighted here. If you are going to use like estrus synchronization as part of your management plan within these scenarios, just use these standardized costs for materials. Okay, so an injection of prostaglandin F2 alpha is $3.39 a dose. Okay, so GnRH is $3.10 a dose. Cedars are $11.25 per cow. Prostaglandin F2 alpha is $8.25 a dose. So even though these things seem really small, if you're running like 1,000 cow outfit or have 1,000 sows, you can see how this would add up really, really quickly. And so, and if you want to use some other synchronization tools that are out there that we may have mentioned in class or that you know is happening or is occurring in industry, that's totally fine. Just go find a price and just make sure to cite it, okay? All right, so let's look at each one of these reproduction scenarios. All right, scenario number one is a sow operation. So you operate a 30 sow family-owned operation in central Kansas, okay? Project pigs are going to be your primary source of income. So you're raising club pigs or project pigs for like 4-H and FFA members. So currently you are targeting fairs that occur in late May and late August. Okay, so 2 different fair times. And then your sows are landrace York crossbred, so they're maternally bred. And then the scenario is, what might your breeding program look like? So these are just giving you a couple of things that are kind of the hard and fast rules. Everything else you guys can creatively think of, okay? And so, or go look up. And so scenario one is just a small project pig operation. All right, scenario two is where you operate an 80 doe family operation in Red Bluff. So you're raising project goats. Project kids, as in the goat kids, not the 4-H kids. Project kids are your primary source of income. Currently, you target late May and late August fairs. Okay, and so just keep in mind, I'll just make this statement real quick too. The late May and late August fairs means that those market animals have to be finished and ready for slaughter either in late May or late August. Okay, so that's just a point of clarification. So your animals are not ready to leave your operation and go directly to a late May or a late August fair. So they're going to have to go to those 4-H members at an earlier point in time. They're going to grow them out so that they are finished for a late May or a late August fair. All right, back to scenario two. Your does are boar purebreds. Okay, so you've got boar goats, which is a breed, not just a nomenclature for the class of animal in your operation. So boar goats are a breed. You target your matings to meet the late May and late August fairs. And so from there, you can describe what your breeding program will look like. Scenario three is a cattle example where you operate a registered Angus operation near Oroville, California. So that's Central Butte County. You have excellent facilities and have a really equipped and trained staff to help you. Your staff is familiar with estrus detection methods. You have 2 AI technicians on staff. You run 450 cows with another 100 heifers developed as potential replacements. And so a replacement heifer is going to be a female that is going to replace an older cow in the herd if she comes up open or not pregnant if she gets hurt and needs to be culled or something like that. Bull calves are weaned with bull candidates and sent to a bull test. So that means that, and did I say, is this a spring calving operation? Doesn't matter. So you can either calve in the spring or in the fall, but when those bulls are weaned, you are going to send them to another facility for them to grow out. Okay. And so those are what we call a bull test. And then steers that don't make your expectations to be bulls, they are going to be sold to a feedlot. So calves are currently weaned at about 8 months of age on average, and you get paid about $3,000 per bull as long as they are calvingese and have superior carcass quality. So that's an indication that you need to be looking at expected progeny differences to ensure that you have calvingese and superior carcass quality. And then just some specifics about the cow herd. So currently the cows are cycling, are coming back into cyclicity 60 days postpartum or 60 days after they have their calf. And so you can design a breeding program to improve reproduction and improve your bottom line. All right, sorry, there's a dog that wants in 2 seconds. Ugh. Come on, Cranky. Okay, so that's scenario 3. Let's look at scenario 4. You operate a commercial beef operation in Kearney, Nebraska. So that's central Nebraska, right in the middle of classic feedlot country. And so your operation gets paid premiums for all calves with superior carcasses. And so superior carcasses means that they are going to grade choice or better, choice minus or better. They're also going to have a yield grade of 2, of at least 2, and about 1/4 inch of back fat at the ribeye. So you run 400 Angus Hereford cross cows and 150 heifers, calving over 150 days. Okay, so the calving season is pretty long because this is a bigger operation, but that could be a point that you actually try to improve as part of your management plan. Cows are on average a body condition score 4 on the beef scale at breeding, and the feed sources are really limited during the winter, which is an indication that or limited feed plus limited labor, which is the next sentence here, indicates that you need to make sure that you are breeding to calving-ease bulls. Facilities are limited, and so you need to design a breeding program to make the most of the resources that you actually have. All right, scenario 5 is where you operate a heifer development facility in Nebraska. You offer a heifer breeding service to local ranches. They bring you weaned heifers to develop, breed, and send home as pregnant females. You need to design a program that keeps the costs down for your customers, and think about what services you can offer. For example, what do you do with cull or open heifers? And what would you charge for your services on a per head basis? So this is kind of an interesting scenario. It's a little bit different because you are not dealing with a whole entire herd of animals where you have mature breeding females. You're actually just concerned with heifer development. And so this might make an interesting scenario for those of you guys that are wanting to get certified in artificial insemination and do that as part of a business plan. All right, scenario 6 is where is an equine example. So you operate a stud farm outside of Lexington, Kentucky. You own AQHA registered stallions with really good bloodlines. Their bloodlines are really successful in the halter show ring. So you offer breeding services to mare owners, including estrus synchronization, artificial insemination, embryo transfer, and even sex selection via the use of sex semen. You have a skilled staff and excellent facilities. Your program offers programs using estrus synchronization and artificial light as methods to manipulate the mare's estrus cycle and to maintain a yearling foaling interval, meaning that mare is going to foal once a year. All right, so you're going to use manipulate the mare's estrus cycle to maintain that yearling foal interval, improve reproduction in open mares, and produce older foals at the association's January 1st universal birth date. So design a breeding program to improve your profitability throughout the year, and you want to make sure that you develop a menu of services and the associated fees. Scenario 7 is where you operate a horse ranch in Nova Scotia, Texas. You own AQHA registered stallions with bloodlines known for their cutting ability. You run 50 brood mares and offer their offspring for purchase. You've been reading how manipulating the mare's estrus cycle can help maintain a yearling foaling interval, improve reproduction in open mares, and produce older foals more closely associated with that January 1st universal birth date. And so I'm asking you to design a breeding program to improve your profitability throughout the year. Scenario 8 is a dairy example. So you milk 250 head of registered Holstein cows who type well in Orland. And so they are reproductively difficult. Okay, so Holstein cows, it's known that they have lower reproductive rates than other breeds. So your average days open is 200 days. You average 2.5 services per conception. Your uterus intervals show a number of missed heats, meaning that the cows just don't come into heat on the cycle that they're supposed to. You use heat detection, but your help isn't very good at it. Okay, so you have heat detection accuracies and intensities that tend to be an issue in your operation. You as the owner buy quality semen but have low conception rates. And so I'm asking you to design a dairy reproduction program to improve the current production scenario. And so this one's kind of a fun one. I deal with this type of stuff all the time from a consulting perspective of trying to fix problems. So if you like fixing problems, this might be a good scenario for you. All right, scenario number 9 is where you operate a commercial swine facility with 1,000 cows, again in central Kansas or liberal Kansas. Your primary product is finished slaughter weight pigs that are marketed by the pound to Hormel. Sow productivity is critical. You need to maximize the number of pigs per sow exposed. Each sow should have at least 2 litters per year. Currently, they average 7 pigs per litter and are not at their goal. They actually have 2.5 litters per sow per year. So how would you design a program to meet your goals? Scenario 10 is a dairy example in Northern California that runs 500 Jersey cows. Your days to first service is 105 and the number of days open is 185. The percentage of estrus observed is 45%. You average 2.3 services per conception with a 38% success rate. Your calving intervals are getting longer. Your numbers reflect missed heats in your herd. Breeding is done with artificial insemination. And so I'm asking you to design a program to improve the reproductive efficiency of the cow herd. Scenario 11 is where you run 400 black-faced commercial ewes in Stockton. You lamb in the spring, wean in June, and currently feed lambs to sell to Superior Pack in October and November. So you're planning to expand your marketing options, hitting both Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter retail markets, which are all really popular for lamb. Design a breeding program to meet both the November, December, and April markets. So this is an area where you can actually create a portion of your flock to lamb at a different time of the year as well. So you'll have dual incomes. Scenario 12 is where you get the opportunity to choose your own family operation. You just need to make sure that you provide some baseline data. So that's things like how many head of animals, what the current breeding season is, when parturition is taking place, how you're taking advantage of natural forages, what your market is, etc. And then scenario 13 for those of you that are feeling really confused and overwhelmed by these other scenarios is to choose one of the farm units. And so we've got to make sure that we get permission from me, the instructor. So if you want to do this, I need to know as soon as possible. And that way I can connect you with the faculty supervisor of the unit and give them a heads up that you'll be talking with or wanting to contact them. So you'll need to gather some baseline data to show what effects your group changes might have on the unit's bottom line as well. And the herdsman can give you that. So for the unit, make sure to design a breeding program to improve reproduction and offspring marketability. All right, so those are the scenarios. I hope that just a little bit more explanation helped you guys kind of figure out what you want to do. If you do want to do a farm unit enterprise, you've got to let me know as soon as possible, okay? And you can do that through email. That's totally fine. All right. Questions, concerns, comments?
For scenarios 1 and 2, could you do like any species for like the small operation for primarily the fair as their income or the kids selling their animals?
Yeah, maybe just roll that into scenario 12 though. Your own operation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Cool. Other questions? All right. Well, I really don't need to know what scenario you guys are going to do unless you're going to do one at the farm. Okay, so I'm just going to take on faith that you're going to figure this out sometime, hopefully this week, right? So you can start on this next week when you get a little bit of a break. And just keep in mind that December 4th at 5 p.m. is the due date for this semester project. So, okay. Well, I'm going to stay on for the next 6 minutes or so. If you guys have questions, you're more than welcome to stay on and ask. If you need to bounce, that's totally fine too. And yeah, we'll plan on seeing you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So enjoy your Thanksgiving break, guys.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Thank you.